He's coming right back. Ha ha ha. Oh.
But they're still there.
Yes, I am determined.
They're still there.
We can't, you're gonna have to field the topics until this room is finished because I refuse to continue on 2 episodes with no progress.
Okay, well.
Okay,
well.
you wanna play rough, you wanna play rough, little golfer? I don't know what happened there in the middle. I think I had a stroke.
Play rough. So, we were going to talk about Wu Wei.
Okay,
and,
I said that, okay. If you want to field that alone.
No, I can field that mostly alone. I think you could probably seed some things as we go. It's just... It's not... We haven't not talked about this before.
We've certainly talked a good deal about Taoism. We had a whole lecture series about that.
We're calling them lecture series now?
Well, it wasn't quite...
How very heady of us.
Well, it wasn't quite a soapbox, because there wasn't as much moralizing.
Well, that's true.
It was more just effusion.
So, Wu Wei is basically living your life in such a way that you just flow with things.
Perhaps...
I
I feel like the only real... It's self-explanatory if you just explain that it translates directly as not forcing.
So Cheng Su actually had a...
is this a person or is this a type
Chinese
of...
philosopher.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was a type of martial art or...
No. Has a story that he tells at one point.
Shuangzi? Are you talking about Lao Tzu's son? Or successor? I don't know that he was his son.
Maybe it's not his son. I've always just pronounced it that way. I don't even really
I suppose
know
the problem is every dialect's going to spell it differently, and that leads
to be honest, I don't know that my pronunciation is at all.
I don't know either.
Correct.
I'll admit that that's one of the ways in which I defer to Alan Watts. Is I'll just pronounce it the way he pronounces it.
Alan Watts calls it Swanza.
Shuangzi and Lao Tzu. Who knows if they're correct or not?
Well, I mean Lao Tzu
don't.
for sure, but so he calls it Shuangzi. That's interesting.
Because isn't it Chuang?
Yeah.
Shuangzi.
Yeah.
I thought it was Shuangzi. It could be Chuang or I.
Anyway, so he has a story at one point where he talks about a old man out in the middle of the waves, and it
Old Man
looks
in
like
the Sea. Isn't that the Hemingway novel?
I don't know.
Wow,
If it relates.
It doesn't. I was trying to derail you, and I clearly succeeded.
No, I was sitting there going, I don't think it's the same thing. So he's out there in the middle of the sea, and there's a couple guys that see him and find him, and realize he needs some help.
Oh boy!
And so they go and try to help him, and ultimately they end up pulling this guy out, and he basically walks away, kind of laughing to himself. And they say, "What are you? I mean, you almost died. What happened?" And he said, nothing happened because I've learned to just let myself essentially be blown and tossed by the waves and let it take me where it wants to go. And I never have found that I have come away, in any danger or anything like that. And he uses that in description of a Wu Wei. And I think I was sitting there thinking to myself, because I've surfed before, and it's very similar feeling in that if you surf and you are trying to fight or to actually overcome, rather, the wave that you're riding, you're going to have a really bad time because you're going to muscle your way through. It's almost like trying to shoot a gun while really adjusting for the recoil. You're going to really do poorly. Whereas if you just kind of let it flow and not think about it or worry about it too much, especially with surfing, it's far easier. I mean, you start to realize that the wave is actually not your enemy as much as it is just a vehicle in which you are utilizing its authority or power to just take you where it's going to take you. And that...
Be water, my friend.
It's true. I mean, it's...
I'm sorry.
It's, I just think that was a good analogy in saying it's, I've heard Wu Wei explained as water before, but never in the sense that as a person, the way that we embrace Wu Wei is essentially by saying, okay, I don't have to try to...
Well, it's like we talked about in the other one, that you got to trust the universe and say, well, what are you going to do? Let's see what you're going to do.
Right. I mean, it's like if I'm trying to surf, I'm probably going to fall. But if I'm just surfing because I'm letting it happen, I'm going to have an easier time
Well,
doing
there's the discussion, there's the whole, and this is not even, I'm not even being facetious at all. There's quite a bit of discussion, both academically and, I'm not sure what you'd call the opposite of academically. Because I don't want to talk, I mean, I don't mean to say in like...
layman's terms.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm... Because I'm using it more in the diametric opposition to academic in the sense of people who actually know by practice, not just by theory. There's talk amongst both the academic studiers and actual practitioners of Taoism and Zen and stuff that The Big Lebowski is a film that very well captures the sort of Zen ideology, which, I mean... A lot of people probably think it's more of a caricature of it, and it might be technically, but then again, sometimes, you know, there's a reason characters exist. I have not seen the film. Before anyone, you know, asks me to defend that, I can't, because I have not seen it. But obviously anyone who knows it...
people than us.
Anyone who knows it by reputation knows kind of how people get there. You're going, yeah, I could kind of see how that... Because it's the whole... That's just like... Your opinion, man.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like that. But that's a possible topic, actually.
What?
Unorthodox places you could find, you know, the proper iterations of such philosophies. Because oftentimes, again, like you're saying...
You're helping me out.
Yeah, exactly. Because a
topic,
lot of times the films and books and things that try to do it end up failing. Whereas sometimes the things that don't try end up nailing it on the head. Alan Watts... Again, because I can't help it, talks a lot about how in the one book in the Western world that probably most typifies it is, of all things, Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
Because it simply just goes along with the sort of really weird, random, and sort of, it's almost stream of consciousness. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. But didn't we have a discussion about this one time?
We did, I think.
It was something really obscure, or it
wasn't quite
something that really didn't deserve to get it as right as it did.
It wasn't quite as focused as Wu Wei, but either
But I forget what it was. What was it? Because I know that we didn't talk about it on here.
I think we were talking about the concept of doing without. It was the broader, less specific topic of doing without doing, or stillness.
Maybe, but I have for some reason the film The Walter Mitty comes to mind.
Did we talk about Walter Mitty within that context?
Not on air. We've obviously talked about Walter Mitty separately, but it's not as... I think that's a film that tries a little bit. It doesn't try too hard, which is why I still think it succeeds. But it does try to an extent, which is... But the whole point is, the main sequence that I think you and I would refer to in that is the whole, when he finally finds the photographer guy, who has spent this several weeks trying to get on top of this mountain so he can photograph the rare whatever animal that lives there.
Right.
And then when he finally has it in the camera, he just stares at it and watches it until it leaves. And is all like, sometimes I don't take the shot. Sometimes I just experience it.
Right.
It's a little on the nose, but I do think that's the right attitude.
It gets people to realize if you try to live your life through the lens of something like academia, or... if you're always reading, and we've talked about this before too, if you're always reading the writings of other people and never writing and engaging yourself, you're not living your life.
And I'm going to do it again, but the way Alan Watts says it is, he says, the person who thinks all the time has nothing to think about but thoughts.
Exactly.
You're going, there's no experience if you never actually bother to just shut up and listen sometimes. And it's the whole thing of... You can... Oof. I'm not sure I should bother because I'm gonna stir quite a number of pots in my circle of people. But there's times when you can ruin a pleasant moment by desiring to photograph it too much.
Well,
going, we've got to capture...
That's hardly something you and I disagree on.
No, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about others who may take offense. But there's a degree to which it's the whole, you can't grasp oil through a clenched fist.
Yes.
It's the more you try, the more it gets everywhere. And then you end up just going, okay, now everyone kind of wishes this was over rather than just enjoying it for what it was. And, here's a total random tangent, but let's hear about an anecdote.
Outside of the perfect surfing anecdote I gave.
Well, no, that's because that's not an anecdote. That was
I'm
talking about, because this is actual a thing. Ooh, he smacked you right on the cheeks. That made a clap.
Which cheeks?
Well, which ones do you think you were facing away from him? If you've ever attempted to take a picture of, like, the sunset or a sunrise or something, if you're ever out and about, yeah, and especially, I mean, obviously, if you're like a nature photographer and you've got the equipment, you can get a good picture. But I mean, if you're just like, you're out driving or you're out doing your normal stuff, and you just sometimes you catch, you might look up and be like, oh wow, the sky's looking really pretty tonight. It's a nice clear sky, sunset, and whatever your fancy is. And you might, I've had to do this, especially when you're going, all you've got is your phone, and you're never going to get a picture of it. You're never going to be able to go, oh yes, I took this picture of the sunrise because I thought it was so lovely. And then, because you'll never look back on it, it won't capture it. So I had to get to the point where you just kind of go, you know what, I'm just going to, you don't want to say that you'll take it for granted because it's like, oh, there's always going to be another sunrise. But it's like, just enjoy it as it is, and then when it's gone, it'll be gone because there'll be another one. Don't try and grasp it because you won't be able to. Instead, just enjoy it.
Firmly grasp it in your hands.
Firmly grasp it. Anywho, apparently I helped you in a segue, and I don't know how. So,
well, you were talking about the people that aren't specifically trying to be particularly philosophical, but they end up becoming. And I think this argument has probably been made before, but I was sitting there the other day.
I wish I could remember what we were talking about, because it was a really random source in that one. Sorry, you've got me thinking about it because we had a good conversation about it, and I forget what it was. But anyways, continue.
I was reading with my boys the other day, and I was reading Dr. Seuss, and I sat there going, I'm sure that the argument's been made before, but he is definitely a philosopher within his own right.
Well, in the sense that I would say anyone who's written anything is a philosopher.
But I would say more than that, because there are ideas that he puts into his books that are very much abstract, especially because he's communicating to children, that I go, this is definitely something, like there's one called Do You Know How Lucky You Are, that is a lesser known one. And it talks about how, one particular standout moment is like a guy named, I think, I can't remember his last name in the book is I Daughter T Crosser, and it literally is like
that sounds very.
He
Susian.
literally spends his entire life.
That was a rag doll.
He spends his entire life obviously dotting I's and crossing T's, and so but then it talks about how lucky you are to not be him, but to be able to think past these things, and I think that again speaks to the bigger picture. When people are so focused on the details that they miss the broader living of life. Well. And so I was just sitting there thinking, it's very true that I think within his own right, he's a philosopher. I mean, not only does he deal with the way that humans interact with each other. You have something like the Sneetches, where he talks about how we tend to stratify one another in order to somehow figure out some sort of hierarchy, which Jordan Peterson would widely agree with. But not only that, but then how that really is a reflection on our own insecurities and all that other stuff. And so I just think that's interesting that he, in speaking to children, still is communicating quite abstract concepts and bringing them down to a level that I think is, well, I mean, again, it goes back to the whole, when we talked about a couple episodes ago of the Tao of Pooh thing, which is that something.
What is it about
something
Batman that inspires these deep, profound? It's a bit odd that it's only the Batman videos that we managed to actually touch on something valuable.
But the concept that things that are very simple and childlike can actually be the things that are the most profound.
Such the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you want me to comment on that? Because I'm not sure you left much more to say in my input. I feel like that's...
I don't know. I mean, are there any other
I
like
am
childhood...
not a Susian, really, because I didn't read much as a kid. Obviously, they were read to me, but I don't remember them much.
Did you read like just the primary ones as far as like Cat in the Hat?
I mean, yeah,
probably
the real famous ones, the Green Eggs and Hams and whatnot.
Yeah, because like some of the more obscure ones are what I'm talking about. Like,
well, and he definitely had some of that. The sad fact that, again, I don't know, it's unfortunate when you learn a little bit more about his private life.
Well, that's true.
That he wasn't the best of people, and you're like, really? That's just kind of sad.
Yeah.
It's a sad. So it's hard. Perhaps I don't know. Perhaps I've never fully recovered from that realization. I mean, I thought that's overly dramatic, but it's a little. I don't know. I don't want to let that color your impression of it because, like,
I don't think
I myself have said before, you can still like someone's work without necessarily approving of them as a person.
Right.
But sometimes that's also hard to do. So perhaps that's my own issue to get over.
Well, and it's sad that he didn't live by his own ideals, really.
Well, I don't know that he lived contrary to his own ideals because I'm not sure that he ever espoused his ideals.
That may be true, but I mean even some of the ones that, as I said, are the more obscure would contradict some of the ways that he chose to live his life. So,
well, we don't need to be ruining people's childhoods with Dr. Seuss.
If you don't know, don't worry about it.
Well, yeah, you certainly don't need to know. It's not going to certainly not going to improve your life. I don't know.
So anyway, can you think of anybody else that would fit kind of within that bubble of kind of even just children's literature? But I mean on a
so you mean the exact
level.
question I asked of just places you wouldn't expect to find such?
Yeah, I mean, like what places? I mean,
I wish I could remember that one because I felt like I swear it probably was a private. Okay, I got decked with a dude. I got dude decked. I think it was a private conversation we had that, but I wish I could remember because it was one that even in the conversation we were like, this is weird that this gets it that right. I don't know. I'm trying to think.
I think, gosh, I wish I could remember which one we were talking about because
yeah, me too.
I know it wasn't Dr. Seuss, obviously, because that was more my new.
I don't think it was a children's author much.
Are you sure? You thought it was just maybe one of the ones that was more.
I haven't a clue. So I guess perhaps we'll stumble upon it again by accident. I don't know. Did you have somewhere to go from there? Or are we just going to talk about Dr. Seuss? Talk about how he knew Stan Lee?
What?
Yeah, Dr. Seuss and Stan Lee knew each other.
That's interesting.
Yeah, they were both, if I remember correctly, they were both, along with someone else somewhat famous, but I don't remember who the third guy was. They were all, I forget what the term for them was. They created something along the lines of like, now I can't fully remember. They were employed by the military during World War II because they were, I can't remember if they were like cartoonists, if they did some sort of, I think they made like the training documentaries, but that kind of had the cartoonish animation describing certain things, or maybe they were the guys who wrote. I forget. They were employed in their craft as writers and artists. I forget in what capacity, sadly, but yeah, they knew each other because of that, and it's an interesting, and some other famous person of that style. It wasn't Roald Dahl, because Roald Dahl was British. But I know that he was, yeah. I don't recall. But yeah, it's an interesting bit of tidbittery.
Well, I think it's also true that...
Ooh, that dude
we can find. Well, it's actually it's a bit of a what is it called? In Benjamin Hoff in the
Benjamin Hoff. Oh, is that
in the Tao of Pu? He talks about he has a chapter called Coddleston Pie when he talks about. I
don't know what that is. Is he a British man? Sounds very British.
No, it's a Pooh thing. It's like within the original Winnie the Pooh books.
Oh.
But he talks about one of the things that it talks about is basically. A fly can't bird, but a bird can fly, and
that sounds very Seussian.
And so when you think about it, you're going. And one of the things he brings out is people try to sometimes be what they're not. Like in other words, fitting a round peg into a square hole, or vice versa. And the point is, each person has their own unique things to bring to the table. I mean. When they were trying to unbounce Tigger or whatever, they found that in trying to do so and getting him lost in the woods, he actually was the one that ended up rescuing everybody. And so, to that end, I think within philosophy, it can be found really anywhere and in the most
we
benign
had that
places.
We talked about that too. We're going obviously there are certain rules and regulations where you're going, as long as your logic is sound, then it doesn't matter who it comes from. Diogenes was a real weirdo. But he's counted as a philosopher, one of the great philosophers, in fact. So just because you're a hobo who lives in a barrel doesn't mean you can't be right about a couple things. He was a weird dude, Diogenes. You read anything about him, you're like, okay.
Never on a Monday. No, I'm just kidding.
Right.
So, yeah.
There was one of these that appealed to me. Aha! Shall we talk about your oratory emulation? Did you go to the doctor about that yet? I figure they could give you a cream for it.
Wow.
We talked a couple weeks ago when I had my big bromance with Alan Watts, where I said that if I could emulate any particular speaker's style, that would be the one I would go for. And I figured, because I mentioned that and you never gave a counter, so is there anyone that you would probably pursue where you go, if you could, let's make it easy and not say, because obviously if you could, practice the skill of speaking, oi, give us my turn. Then you could choose. But I'm saying, what if it was just like you could be gifted, like you can speak like this person? You have this sort of...
Does it have to be... Is it somebody that's alive right now?
No,
or?
I mentioned Cicero in my last one. Just a famous speaker of history. And it doesn't even have to be that... I mean, like Alan Watts is only famous to those who are interested in those particular circles of philosophy. So it's not like it's got to be someone everyone would know. I'll give you a second, apparently, because I really got to get out of this dang room.
I don't know that anybody... I would...
Surely there's someone. I mean,
the problem is narrowing it down because...
Well, I suppose that's...
I think
true.
on a... There are certain people that I say, well, oration can't be necessarily written in that... there are certain people like old philosophers like Cicero, you'd never actually... specifically heard him.
That's true. You've never heard him yourself, but he was also reported, even of his day, to be a great.
So in that case, I suppose I would say Marcus Aurelius in that regard.
I don't know that he was. Was he famous for speaking?
Not specifically, but I feel like the way that he.
That also raises a question: what translation of Meditations did you read? Because I'd certainly like to get my hands on it. The Meditations translation I read claimed to be a toned down version. And it was not.
I suppose part of it is because, in the same way that I like Tolkien,
you like the weird.
I am very much that way. It's
there's
just what
literally
I think.
Pages that are only separated by commas and semicolons. There's no. But
that's the way I write too.
Well, then I don't want to read your writing. No offense. You're gonna have to clean it up before you show it to me. Because I'll admit I use a semicolon now and then when they fit because, grammatically speaking, they're useful tools. But you gotta end a sentence somewhere. You can't just have a whole page.
Yeah, I know. I think my style has always been more.
And that's
like
writing. I'm talking
Tolkien-esque.
speaking.
If I had to say speaking, gosh, that's really hard because I don't know that I have anybody that would initially come to mind.
Well, are you? You may not be as much of a podcaster, lecture type, or as I am.
Probably not.
Have you listened to any of Jordan Peterson's lectures? Not like his public speaking, like his actual classroom lectures.
Yeah, I have.
Because given the description you just gave, I imagine they would be a little more your style. Because I'll admit I enjoy him because I think he's got an equal poignancy, but I do think he can be a little meandery at times because he'll get off on like this tangent to that tangent to this other tangent,
which is
and
organically
it is definitely organic, like they flow. But then you kind of are like, oh, but I wanted you to. I was curious about where you were going with this, and then now we're on something else.
More my style, which is very Tolkien-esque, and I would argue.
I've never heard him. He's got a reputation for his speaking. Not certainly the reputation Louis had.
No, but I mean, I'm
because Louis, they said, had the more authoritative orator's
But
voice.
you know why? Again, is because Tolkien was rambly. He tended
say that.
He
yeah.
tended to land on a topic and say, "I'm going to describe it to the nth degree."
I think it was a book you had even that I read where it was about his. It wasn't quite a biography, but it was somewhat biographical.
Oh yeah, that one of the. I think
that suggested that apparently he had a reputation for speaking. He would begin to address the class from the moment he entered the door. He would, as he's giving the lecture, he would walk up to his desk, put his stuff down, take his coat off, continue the lecture without breaking, and towards the end would start to put his coat back on and grab his stuff while still speaking, and walk out the door, and then he would not finish. He would he would finish his argument right as he walked out of the door, and that was it.
Well, which is the way he does. He writes his books too. I mean, so here's the thing. I tend to be like that. If I could compare it to a biblical character, it would be like a Pauline style, which is very rambly. If you, by comparison to some of the other biblical writers,
I suppose.
Like if you take somebody like Luke, he's far more cogent as far as.
That's true.
Then Paul tends to be like, I'm going to address this, and also I heard that this was going on. Like,
but he still manages to conclude the point.
For sure. I'm just saying, I don't think Tolkien doesn't either. I mean,
and again, I don't know about his lectures, but I don't know.
Well, you would argue though Jordan Peterson doesn't, and I've watched quite a few of his.
Sometimes he doesn't, and I do admittedly sometimes because there's sometimes when he'll start on something, I'm like, ooh, this will be interesting, and then he doesn't finish, and I'm like, but that was going to be interesting.
That never bothers me because I go, if it interests me enough, I guess I'll just engage it myself. But
no, not if I want to hear, because sometimes it's like, a story or an actual statistic, or it's like about a person. I'm like, well, but what if I wanted to hear how that went?
I suppose. I don't know. It's difficult for me because I have not.
Right, how long has this been? Seriously, we're not doing 2 episodes of One Room. I'm getting out of here eventually. Okay, so what's your favorite cheese for the moment?
No, but
you gotta have something that I can hunker and focus.
Well, I'll let you focus. You just focus, and I'll try to think of something.
You just nestle in here and die.
I don't know that I ever could really put my finger on somebody that specifically stood out to me.
You probably want to ask him before.
No, no fingertippies on people's fancies. I just that particularly would say that's the person I want to directly emulate. And I know this sounds super
I suppose
like Zen of me, but I just want to sound like me. I mean,
well, okay, I think you undid any Zen quality that had by commenting on its Zen quality.
I'm saying I'm not.
This I know sounds very Zen and wise of me.
No, I'm not saying wise by any stretch. What I'm saying is it could sound a little bit like I'm trying to be like equivocating.
Obviously, that's the truth. The fact of the matter is, they say. I mean, it's mostly true of writing, but it would also be of speaking that you will inevitably begin by emulating someone else, and as you develop, you find your own sort of style. That might have similarities, but if it's organic and non-static, then it will inevitably develop to your particular taste. So if you keep it up, you will eventually have your own style. So, I mean, that's...
And I don't know that I've...
Because the problem is, if you set out to find your style, it's kind of like it's trying to dictate your own thoughts. It's like, yeah, you can do it, but it doesn't end up being...
See, the people
True.
I think within my own life that I have emulated are not famous people by any stretch.
Well, they don't have to be. Alan Watts isn't that famous, unless you know the circles.
He's esoteric for sure, but
it doesn't have to be famous. It could be like a favorite teacher, even if you're. That's
what I'm saying. Sitting here thinking the only person that would stand out to me initially would be there was literally in community college there was a history professor that I had that didn't even teach, like he taught history, but it was like he made...
See, I feel like history teachers are either the best or worst of teachers.
It's true. He was the best because
of all my college professors, my history teacher was also one of my favorites.
The reason I loved him is because he literally was like, you know what? I'm going to talk about conspiracy theories within this, and I like them, so we're going to talk about them. And I enjoyed
there's conspiracy theories. I like it.
So he would talk about them, and I enjoyed kind of the.
So you just enjoy frenetic people?
Maybe. I mean.
Who am I to judge?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to like a little less.
That's not a bad thing.
I tend to like a little less.
Because
sterile or static.
Like, but see, that's
context.
why I think I like Alan Watts manages to be very sort of free spirited, but still somewhat.
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely... It does not feel practiced or rehearsed or in any way rote. But it still manages to... I don't know. Perhaps it's more than I prefer a little bit more of a laid-back approach.
I don't know that... You could for sure call Alan Watts laid-back, but I don't know that anyone would call him loquacious. He's not...
Certainly not. He's not... He does not try to impress you with his fanciness. Okay.
Well, no,
am I down?
Loquacious meaning just lots of, just many words.
Yeah, loquacious meaning, but it's usually used to mean like the deliberate use of big words so as to make yourself seem...
No, loquacious is like a lot of words. I'm just like you're talking a lot.
I thought,
shut up.
I mean, to be long-winded, I suppose.
Well, that's what I mean, but like Paul would be accused of that. Tolkien would be accused of that for
loquacious
sure.
is more negative because there's usually a degree of false arrogance involved. Or it's attempting to puff yourself up by doing that. At least that's the only context I've ever heard. I am down to 3 people. It's down to Joker, me, and the Titan guy, and I am not letting this go. I have so little health.
I've only heard that ever as like a pontification or something like that.
Well, see, because pontification's not inherently negative, I don't think.
I would say
No. Okay, there's only 2 people left. I have to survive. Okay, see, I don't like that rolling doesn't save me from that attack, because then nothing does.
You have the only hope to pass this, so you might as well not even hand that to me.
I was in the middle of a roll when he threw that, so why did it not...
I feel like pontification has more of a precise negative pompousness.
I don't agree with... I've never heard that. No one would take being loquacious as a compliment.
Maybe not. Because,
I certainly wouldn't.
Well, but I don't think
because again, I've only ever heard it as in with an air of falseness, where it's
I don't
puffery.
Think falseness, just a lot of trying.
Because it's not just trying, as in trying to impress by your long-windedness. Or I've only ever heard it used in the context of big words, not necessarily a lot of words.
No,
maybe
I
it's
mean,
both.
It's always just been tending to talk a lot in my.
But I think it's tending to talk a lot so as to dominate the conversation.
Maybe not.
Not just like, I tend to ramble. Because Alan Watts tends to ramble, but he wouldn't be called loquacious.
I don't know that I would say Alan Watts rambles necessarily.
Well,
he's loose and free-flowing, but...
Well, but what is a ramble but
rambles. Do you know what I'm saying?
I
There's
suppose. I can already tell I'm not going to do well because I've taken too much damage in this first few minutes.
Like, okay, so Tolkien will spend an entire... For those of you that don't know and aren't familiar with Tolkien enough, he will spend like an entire chapter describing one house. And in a book, and particularly within the Silmarillion.
Well, that's arguably the densest thing he ever wrote.
Yes,
so
but I'm just saying.
If you can get through that, you're on good ground.
But that being said, some people really, like myself, really enjoy that because.
Well, then you would love Jules Verne. I'm recommending Jules Verne to you now. Let me know how that goes for you. Not that Jules Verne's bad. I mean, Jules Verne's all right, but if I had to pick, I'd go Wells between the two.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's interesting, though, I think, is that it depends on the topic for me, because,
Well,
like, politics, for instance, I appreciate brevitisness. I don't like when people try to
What about
be
science?
See, that I don't mind people being more long-winded with.
There you go. So some Jules Verne will do you good. I am not going to make it through this, so I might as well, just let this hit me.
So, within Alan Watts, though, I
Gotta get
think
a
you're
fresh
right in
start on
saying he tends to. I like what you were saying in that he's loose and not stiff, but he's also not long-winded.
No, he definitely.
He doesn't put on airs.
He can deliver. Well, that's if you had to describe him as one thing, it would be not very genuine.
Yeah, and not that somebody.
The fact of the matter is, you've completely dodged this question for the past 20 minutes.
I really haven't dodged the question. I just don't know how to answer it because I don't know that I have an actual proper response.
Deliberately dodged.
So I don't.
You're still dodging the question.
No, what I'm saying is
I can't answer this question comes across as a dodge.
I'm not trying Epic and Doge.
You're saying there's not a single person, minor or famous, that you'd be like, you know what? If I could talk, not necessarily
of any substance,
but not if it. Maybe not in the sense of like, oh, if I could ape his particular style. I'm not saying, oh, I wish I had a British accent like Alan Watts.
No, that's not.
I'm saying even if it was like, oh, I'd like to incorporate his tendency for this. I'd like to learn to be a little bit more like that.
Prosaic.
Well, what's wrong with that? I enjoy prose every now and again. Everything can't be poetry.
Well, do you know that I'm a 4?
That doesn't mean everything has to be poetry. Why is that? Okay.
I don't know.
If everything is poetry, then nothing is. You ought to know this by now. Haven't you seen The Incredibles?
I was about to say how very Jack.
Ooh, Jack.
Or how very not Jack. How very
Buddy.
dash far of you.
No, well, or Syndrome, arguably is the one who. So even if it's just like because
I like Jordan Peterson's style, obviously, because it's something that I've appreciated. I also really like, before I really even engaged somebody like see, Matt Walsh is the only one that's coming to mind because that's the one I was about to say. Ben Shapiro, I actually knew Matt Walsh, and Matt Walsh to me was very well spoken, as well as both on the page and in the context of radio. And I thought, wow, that's a guy I could actually appreciate his.
I could follow.
So but those seem very just trite and
that's
kind of.
Why?
I don't know. I
didn't say it had to be some grand philosopher of all time. Doesn't even have to be a philosopher.
But I would say probably.
There you go.
Matt Walsh or.
Now we know the secret of your oratory emulation. All right.
But again, that's a very difficult question for me because I don't know.
I wasn't expecting you to be like.
Well, but I'm just saying, like you were like,
Well, because as I've said in the last one, I've been a fan of Alan Watts for a long time. So I've had the full opportunity. So I've had the full opportunity to appreciate his style.
Well, yes.
Okay, I may or may not do this. This is
what's interesting is it is interesting to watch that progression, I suppose, from the outside. Because
you noticed you could tell when I started watching Alan Watts?
I could tell when you started really engaging him because.
Well, was that because I was talking to you about him, or was that organic?
No, not just because of that, but because you talked about a lot of philosophers and various philosophical perspectives, or even religious to a degree.
It's not impossible.
Perspectives with me, but then when you landed on Alan Watts, it was like this. You just really resonated with you.
Well,
which is fine.
I mean, okay. Now I'm curious as to in what way you discovered this.
Well,
if it wasn't from me just directly saying it.
You didn't, not just directly saying it, but you talked about him a great deal more than I would say any of the other people. Like, for instance, you were reading Confessions even.
Well, we've talked about my future essay that I'll write in 10 years.
Which is what?
Which is the comparisons, because those two books, honestly, would comprise a large chunk of that. Okay, we're down to the same place.
Those two books would
Confessions and The Way of Zen. Okay, well that just took me way down. It's down to these three. I just have to get them out of the picture. No! Oh boy, oh boy. The throwing dudes attack is the one that sucks the most. Thanks, John Madden. Well, if you got dudes throwing dudes, those are about the worst dudes you can do.
But if you got regular dudes and they're not throwing dudes,
I prefer those.
just the regular
Me throw
one-armed dudes with a
I suppose if I could. Hang on a moment, I gotta drink something.
Alright, so...
If I could pick anything, it would be the ability to speak for long periods without my throat seizing up. You'd think I would have gotten some practice at it by now.
No, just kidding.
Anything that could be proved by the sword ought to have been proved by now. That's a real random quote. That is definitely a platinum. Because I'm not even sure I said it right. We talked about that movie though, haven't we already? I can't give it away now because then everyone's going to know. Well, perhaps we should not belabor a already dead horse.
Well, interesting and slightly less serious topic so that you can actually
thank
play
goodness.
Well. Within I mentioned just more in passing and kind of humorously that, I have a particular personality type that bends more towards the
poetry,
romanticism,
apparently.
or I suppose.
Well, I like poetry too, but you can't have it all the time.
I'm not suggesting that you don't like poetry, you weirdo. I'm just saying.
I didn't mean to take that as a personal attack either. I got you.
I was curious what you think the various
my apologies.
Within psychology, what the various personality types usefulnesses are, or why they aren't useful. Like, what are your thoughts on those types of things?
They're useful as a reference, usually. If you try to take too much stock in them, then you're missing the point.
Okay.
Yeah. That's even any good test itself will tell you that as you take it, going, this does not be like, oh, now we know everything about you and your whole life can be quantified down to this.
Well, that's very Freudian.
You think even Freud knew better than to say...
did he, though?
Yes, I think, yeah. I don't think he thought, oh, well, once I just asked you some questions, then I know exactly how you are for the rest of your life.
And I know you want to sleep with your mom.
Well, yeah. That aside... Okay. The problem is, I think I get to a point where I think I can do it.
The reason I ask is because, especially on a pop culture level, now with all these Enneagram things, especially.
Is that the new one that's popular?
Yeah, it's the one with the 4s or 5s.
The number
you're
system.
A 5 and I'm a 4. But the reason that we get along so well is because your wing is a 4 and my wing is a 5. So it's
ain't we just the wingmen?
That's more on the nose than I meant it to be.
Well, what? On the nose in what way?
Well, wingman is like a... You're going to be my wingman?
It can mean several things. It has a military connotation.
Well, that's true, too.
In fact, the wingman, the military connotation is where the social connotation comes from.
That's probably true.
It is, in fact, very true. It's not probably true. That dude sucks. Just big, meaty claws. Because he tracks you, so you can't dodge him, and apparently you can't jump out of the way of flying corpses.
Well, that's a rule for life. You can't jump out of the way of flying corpses.
Yeah, that was the 13th one Jordan Peterson didn't get to put into the book. We're still got 20 more minutes.
That's the one you learn in Haunted Mansion in Disneyland. Anyway, okay. So within the Enneagram thing, I think that's one for sure within a social construct that people are way over applying.
Well, I think people have a tendency to over-apply them generally because I think a lot of people lose sight of the guide, not dictation framework.
Well, exactly. I think that's true of all psychology, and even within the more specific psychological fields, they actually will overly qualify
Ayn Rand
things.
Who said the greatest minority, the most singularly oppressed minority on earth is the individual.
Yes.
Because it consists of only one person.
Well, and it's, again, the catch-22 with psychologists and sociologists is that their whole idea and purpose is to find patterns, but the patterns themselves have to be fluid. They can't be static because each individual
even
doesn't
Jung,
fit it quite right.
Even Jung, who is credited with having not created but having laid the foundations of what became the Myers-Briggs test.
Is that a fact? I didn't know that.
It's based on his work. He basically first coined the terms that were used in the categories, like the whole
and then Myers-Briggs
intuitor versus in sensing and judgment, perceiving, and all that.
Yeah.
But he didn't actually create the test for it. So, but yeah, even he suggested that that traits like those developed over time. It wasn't like, oh, you're like this, and therefore you are like this all the time.
Well, within actual developmental phases as well, within childhood.
Well, certainly within childhood. Children almost don't have psychology.
Well, it's true.
Like, not until they're older does it really become fixed.
If you're wondering whether we're nature versus nurture, you shouldn't wonder.
Well, I don't think I'm either versus the other.
Well,
I think it's entirely a both.
Yes,
category.
exactly.
That's how sociopaths are made, don't you know?
Yeah.
Woo.
But, I think that people do put that too much stock in them. But at the same time, I think they're quite useful in understanding yourself. That, to me,
arguably, that's the only real way to do it. Because it's never meant to...
If you're trying to use them on a business level to try to understand your colleagues,
and
it's
even
not
if
probably
you are,
as helpful as you're wanting it to be.
Even if you are a psychologist administering a test, you're not going to... It's not like you're going to go, oh, I understand this person so much better
Well, your
now.
whole point as a psychologist is to help the person understand themselves.
Exactly.
It's more introspection. What?
Am
I trying to open a can of worms that you're wanting to keep closed?
I'm mostly just trying to get... Because every
worms dead.
Every time I think I'm getting close, something like that happens.
So anyway...
Cheese or coffee or something light, please.
This is light.
This is not light. We're talking about psychology and why it's not always accurate.
No, I'm not that it's not always accurate.
I'm not trying to be existential. I'm being honest.
I'm curious because I think the Myers-Briggs is great, but of course in its day it was overly used, and now you see the Enneagram being overly used. And I think, DISC has been overly used in the past in business
I'm not
settings.
as familiar with that one.
It's the lion,
the only one
otter, that whole deal.
That sounds stupid.
It's technically DISC, which is dominant, intuitive sensing, and something else.
I don't know. The only one I know that I've heard Jordan Peterson talk about a lot is the Big Five, which is literally just there's 5 character traits.
With that one?
It's not so much used in tests as it is in actual analytical psychology, where you would describe, because I think there's there's aggression, openness.
Okay, that's almost like on a dark psychology level, trying to figure out.
Well, no, not necessarily that. It's not meant for testing. It's not like, oh, you're new for our company, take this so we can find out, how you'll fit in. It's literally like the kind of things your actual psychologist would talk to you about if you were in psychiatry.
See, I swear I'm pushing A and doing the dodge roll, and he's just sitting there like.
Well, you don't just push it. You have to double tap it, and you have to pick a direction. You have to use the thumbstick. Plus, if you are in the middle of an attack, you won't be able to. You have to wait till you finished your attack to do it. Okay, if I can gird my loins, let's let this be the final one, because we're at probably, 45 stinking minutes. I don't want to do this room.
48.
Okay.
We've been here for 3 stinking days.
Do you have any culture or something less heady? Because my head is gone.
Wine.
What? Lilac
nothing.
white.
No, I said lilac wine. Well,
that even...
It's...
Flowers all smell like dirt to me. Can we just talk about that?
Let's talk about that. Really? Even roses?
Yeah. To me, every flower I've ever smelled, I'm just like, this just smells like soil.
That is the most architectural thing I've ever heard you say.
Why does that have to... Architectural?
I'm saying within the personality type that you have.
If anything, it probably says...
Logistician, not very emotional.
Well, but there's nothing emotional about smells.
Well... But flowers are supposed to be like, oh, it's such the sweet smell, and you're like, they just smell like dirt.
Well, no, only if if anything, it seems to suggest that I have some sort of laryngeal defect. I mean, I wasn't going to go be like, oh, it means I have secretly stunted emotions.
No,
because it's literally like, I'm not going, oh,
emotions.
I smell a flower and I think of dirt.
You're
It's that to me, like, it actually, like, I don't smell anything other than the smell of dirt.
You've never smelled a rose and gone, that smells good.
No, it just smells like dirt. Like, it does.
Really?
It's not, it's not an emotional, like, it smells like a rose and therefore it's dirt. I wouldn't.
I'm not trying.
I couldn't tell flowers apart because they would all smell like dirt to me.
That a little
Well,
far.
you tried to extrapolate some bizarre
No, I'm not trying
architectural nonsense out of it.
No, I'm just saying it seems
I don't
a little
equate
funny
the
to me
smells
that-
of flowers with dirt. It is literally like I don't. If you gave me a bunch of flowers, I probably couldn't tell you. I would just be like, all of these smell like dirt.
You could not tell distinct-wise what they are. Like, for instance,
Probably
a honeysuckle
not. I
from
mean,
a
I've never
lavender.
attempted that, but I don't think I could very accurately. So
That's really interesting.
there you go.
So now a test we must perform.
Well,
A rose, a honeysuckle,
rose
and
is a rose, no matter where it goes. Fries will be fries either way. What's your favorite
Smell
SpongeBob
like
song? Because
dirt
that's mine.
Either way.
I'm not. Yeah, that's my favorite SpongeBob song.
We're not getting out of it that easy. You're gonna do that.
Why do you need me to?
Honeysuckles
Well, if you want to
versus
buy me a load of
lavender.
flowers, sure. I'm not gonna spend money on this idea.
I'm gonna spend money on his flowers.
Thank you for my flowers that'll smell like dirt. Look at what you made me do. The Joker's carving me up
what
like
you
Christmas
just made
ham.
me do.
I hate that song, and I hate Taylor Swift. Let's just boop boop boop. Here comes the rant bus again. Let's just talk about things I hate. Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift and flowers that smell like dirt. I'm joking. He's actually quite a tender man. I'm making a joke.
What on earth are you? But see, this is clearly why would you feel the need to say this unless you felt like you were making some kind of psychological commentary?
No, I wasn't actually. That's why I'm saying
then
it's
why did
funny that you thought that. I was saying it seems funny to me that you just were like, yeah, there's really no smell. It's just dirt.
Okay.
I
I was
don't
simply
know,
saying it factually, though.
Well, then I think you may actually have a defect.
Well, maybe I do. I don't know.
But see,
If you
but
had
see,
to lose
you're-
any smell,
you're quite
or
a
if you had to
cook,
lose,
though, so
if
that's
you had to lose
interesting.
any scent, wouldn't smell be the one you'd go, or
Well,
sense rather, not scent?
Well, that's probably true. That
Well,
smell
yeah,
would be
because
the one to go. But
you'd be the one you'd least need to get by in life.
Well, but see what doesn't make sense to me about that is that you're quite the cook. So how do
yeah,
you
but
smell all the
because
spices and stuff?
but see the whole. Well, you taste food. That's how you.
Do you
that's
seriously taste
that's
spice
how-
in order to?
That's how any cook
Test
would
it?
determine whether or not the food is properly seasoned. Is you have to taste it. You don't
Well,
just
of
smell
course.
it
But
alone.
what I'm saying is, you're.
Oh,
That's
we're
fascinating.
doing okay.
So, like when you are cooking, you go, "Oh, what does this need?" And you taste the thing, and then you actually taste the spice that you're going to add.
Well, no, I don't know because I would. I mean, generally, there's only so many spices that are appropriate for certain dishes. So you taste it and go, this probably could use more of that. I mean, I'm familiar with the tastes of various spices. I don't need to taste them again.
And they don't smell. They don't smell like dirt to
Well,
you,
it's
or
not that I
taste
don't
like
s-
dirt.
Well, it's not that I don't
Everything
smell
tastes
anything.
like ash in my mouth.
Smells turned to ash in my nose. I don't know why you find this to be like such a thing that needs dissection.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to actually tease you. I'm being a little bit terrible.
Well, I have no. Well, it's not even teasing.
I'm
I'm
not
mostly
trying to
just.
be
I'm more
abased.
concerned about you about why you find this so fascinating.
No, I don't find it fascinating. I'm just.
You was
I'm
going to
more-
sit around here and talk about smells I'm not smelling. I want
All
to.
the better to hear your many criticisms.
I tried to get another topic going because I thought it would genuinely be interesting,
Well,
but
I
you
don't really.
poo-pooed it.
No, I don't really know. What were you? The topic was what?
I don't remember because you
Roses?
screwed it up.
Roses.
It wasn't. It was. I was gonna be. I thought it was something else.
No, it was
SpongeBob songs.
No.
Mine's the Greasy Spoon song. That's my favorite. Mostly just because Mr. Krabs doesn't sing very often, so the
Well,
fact that he
that's
does in
true.
that one is part of the reason it's great. Because they give him like the super heavy, hardcore, gravelly 80s ballad voice.
It's
And it's funny.
hard for me to do anything other than
Ooh. Are you gonna go the one that everyone probably is thinking?
No, not the Super Bowl one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that one's obvious. To be fair, that's not a bad one.
It's a great song, but it's not really SpongeBob at that point.
It was an actual band that performed it.
Right, that's what I mean.
I don't recall whether or not it was written. I don't think it existed before.
No, it didn't. It was written for that. I looked it up.
But it is a great song. There's a full version of it out there that you can find. That's like the whole. It's got the whole guitar solo and a whole bunch of stuff. It's real cool. Okay, we're doing awfully.
My favorite is probably...
Okay, I've gotten to this point several times where it gets down to the last three. It's the Joker, the Hammerman. Joker...
Swing us that gavel, Oh, he swung it.
Boy, he blew it. Okay, the real question is who to take out first.
I just said that like...
What?
The real question is you still were in that voice.
No, I'm not. The question is who to take out first. Pull away, yeah.
I would say not. See, the only song that's coming to mind right now is "Effers for Friends," but that's not the one I'm thinking of.
I mean, that's not that's a solid contender.
See,
but it ain't the right
I think
one for me.
probably my favorite is the Sand
so
Your
close.
Buns one.
No, really?
Yes, I liked that one.
I don't love that one. I mean, I get why it's the popular one, but I am so close. No. See, but the problem is you can't dodge him because he'll just redirect towards you.
So, should we look it up?
A song or how to do this?
The song.
Oh, okay. What song? The Sand in Your Buns one? I know that one. What do you mean look it up?
I'm just saying.
You have to look it up your own opinion?
They could listen to a good song while they're...
I'll just play it over. We're going to be silent for the next 3 minutes while I try to beat this fight, and we'll play the song.
Larry come around just to put him down.
Except for the fact that then we'll be immediately copyright stroked. We'll have a copyright stroke. Okay.
Us and Jeff Bezos, and we'll be fine.
What? Jeff Bezos has nothing to do with YouTube.
I'm not Jeff Bezos. Wow.
Larry.
I'm sorry, that's not what I meant.
Larry, whatever his name is, the Google guy?
No, I'm sorry, I was totally in the wrong. Rick Beato, wow. I don't know why I said Jeff Bezos.
I don't either. Because I don't know how Rick Beato was going to tie into it either.
Rick Beato is the one that he does the music theory thing, and he constantly analyzes music and constantly gets copyright struck.
Oh, we'll see. Okay, I was not aware of that because I don't follow him a whole lot.
Oh, I follow him quite a bit.
I mean, I've heard of him, but I've never... Okay, sure.
Sorry, Jeff Bezos.
I don't know where Jeff Bezos
You were going, what?
Oh, boy. Okay, clearly I've got to try a different strategy. What if I'm going to have... Okay. What if I try to build myself up a combo? Or actually, better yet. Better yet, I'll end the game.
Better yet, that was a great thumbnail.
I need... Don't bother looking at the clock. This episode's not over until this is done.
No.
There was one of these I got that I didn't think I was going to use, but I could potentially freeze. I think it was this one. Large blast radius capable of freezing multiple enemies to the ground. LT and RT at the same time. That's it.
Well, that's probably why. Why haven't we used?
Well, because I think this was.
I used this?
I think this was a recent acquisition. No, that does this. Do I? Oh, is it an actual unit? I've got to get out.
Suck my unit.
Don't freeze cluster grenade. Okay, everybody, come around me. Woohoo! Okay, I have to. Darn you! Freeze cluster unit. Everyone, freeze. Stop it!
I said freeze!
Okay, how many? Oh, I got the Hammerman. The Hammerman's the one I wanted to get after. Well, okay, I'll get after the... Oh, the Hammerman's free. No, see, stop. I need to get the Hammerman.
Lets them out the minute you hit them at all.
Because my whole point with doing this is clearly getting stuck with the 3 biggies at the end is the wrong strategy because I can't handle all 3 of them at once. Because during the fight, I'm mostly just... Well, clearly this strategy is not working. But I'm just trying to get rid of one of them early. Not him. Take out the other dude. None of you.
You're sounding like Jerry Seinfeld.
What's the deal with Clownman? He's gone. I have no health left, but... Okay, if I can do that better in the future so that he stays down. Now when the big Titan Man comes, it's only the Titan Man. Sounds like I'm thus spake Zarathustra over here. When the Titan Man cometh, it's only the Titan Man.
Oh, I also finished Red Rising recently.
Oh, did you?
Did you actually finish it?
No. Sorry to the one friend of ours who recommended it to both of us 2 years ago.
Yeah, and it was okay. It wasn't my favorite book in the world.
The problem is I only have it on ebook, and I've never finished an ebook in my life.
Before. Now, that's kind of a lighter topic, but I think we've had that discussion before, why you don't like ebook as much as the...
Well, because, I don't have any kind of ebook reader the way you're supposed to. I just have them on computer, which is the worst way to read an ebook. Okay, I'm going to try that again, but hopefully with less fail pile.
I actually have the Kindle Paperwhite, which is great.
Yeah, I don't know. I recognize the whole utility of saying you can carry a bunch of books and not have to have the physical space for them. And it would certainly make sense because of the storage. Like, it's like if you wanted to go on vacation or something, you could just have all your books there instead of having to bring them. That makes a lot of sense. So it would I wouldn't mind having one for that reason, but there is a degree to which the library physical copy. I mean, that's not just books. That's just about everything with me. That's movies and TV shows even. It's just I would rather have all of this at hand, because what happens if your internet's down? What happens if your battery's out or your power goes? Then you can't do the stuff you want to do. Okay, the fact that he tracked me across that whole motion was a little bit stupid. Not like that. Oh, he's dead now. That guy, the hammer fell right on his head. Okay, I just gotta blast this guy into next week, but I keep losing health while doing it. There's no way I can. Okay, the problem... Okay, so this strategy is too flawed to continue with. I'm not going to be able to make that work. But the problem is I have to take him out before the Titan Man gets into the ring. Because when all three of them are there, it becomes an avoidance game rather than any actual tactical work.
It's untenable once it's everybody.
So I've got to take him out before that. But the problem is that means I've got to take a bunch of thugs out first, because I can't... The freeze grenades are not terribly reliable at stopping people, I guess. Oh, well, okay. So how many did that take out of the fray? That took out like 4.
They'll come over somewhere else. So that.
How long do those... That can't be permanent. Okay, well, it's not going to... I don't think this strategy's going to hold water. This is, of course...
Clearly doesn't hold Batman.
This isn't... As we said the last time, this is not the final boss of the game, but it is sort of... It's the first of the 2 final bosses, you could say. So I suppose it's fitting that it's the hardest one so far. We are on the hardest difficulty, too.
What's the... Oh,
but
I didn't realize that.
Goodness.
My goodness.
We're at an hour just past, so hopefully this won't take 2 hours.
What is
what's
the
your
other
favorite
boss?
Cheese? It's we talked about it. It's the Doctor Strange, the guy who built the asylum, who we've hardly interacted with.
Oh yeah, that's right. I think
Doctor Strange, not the Marvel version. Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh.
Okay.
Give us. Do you have any news or something relevant, or maybe just a pontification on the uselessness of all existence? Or is this game providing enough of that?
Yeah.
Okay. I gotta take out. I gotta be strategic.
Out because everything else I have is very.
Well, new. You haven't kept up with any news or any sort of.
Not well.
Stuff.
I mean, I suppose.
I haven't either.
On a very, very. What's the right word for it? Other than maybe childish note.
Why would you do that to me? I was just thinking I needed to start focusing on Titan Man.
Talk about Steve, which is
because I haven't even watched the full thing of that yet.
Yeah, but it was really you should watch it. It's worthwhile.
But why? Because as much as I liked Blue's Clues as a kid, I'm not sure I have much.
It was just it was really weirdly nostalgic for me. I was like,
well, of course it's going to be weirdly nostalgic for a lot of people.
But it spoke to a weird part of my soul that was like, hey, that's still in there somewhere.
Okay.
Like when you hear his voice, you're like, whoa, why do I feel 5?
Okay, this is garbage.
Oh.
I missed my window because I didn't take him out before the Titan Man appeared.
Like,
With
so how far
curtains
did
blue and
you
then he appeared.
did you actually listen to it, or?
I only saw the first, like, probably minute of that bit. Because I know that it happened, and I liked Blue's Clues as a kid, but it has also been probably 20 years, so...
Yeah, it's been 25, to be exact. It's their 25-year
Oh,
anniversary.
is that why they're doing that?
Yeah.
I figured it was just like he had something to say.
No! All this crap going on in the nation, I gotta address it.
I actually have heard that someone made a joke like that where they're going, things going so hard, Steve feels like he's got to address the country.
I don't know what that says about anything else, but...
Well, it means people put a little too much faith in Steve, apparently. I believe in Steve.
Just grab it with your teeth. One's all you need. Pretty sure that was a Blue's Clues quote.
Yeah, that was the one episode in which Steve does acid and Blue talks to him. No, you won't. Okay, I just got a reef on him. Okay, I at least appreciate that I seem to become immune whenever I initiate the beatdown. So I can suppose that's a way to do this. Oh, you dumb beef man. I need you dead. I want you dead is the better term, actually. I don't strictly need it. I could get by without it, but...
Definitely don't need it.
Enough with all of your stupid melee weapons. Fight me like men with one...
Hand tied behind your back.
Well, at least the Hammerman's obliging me in that respect.
Wow.
Hey, he's... I don't know.
That was disrespectful to...
Well, I'd like to point out...
What's it? Is it...
A uniplegic?
I was about to say, what is that called?
I think you just call him an amputee at that point. He's gone!
That's what I was looking for, amputee. Uniplegic sounds so much more terrible.
Okay.
That makes it sound disrespectful.
Okay, as much as...
Unipole.
I don't think I have much reason to be excited, because though I may have taken out what's-his-head, there's more guys coming, and here comes Titan Man, and I don't have a whole lot of health, so really the question becomes, at what cost? Woo, boy. Ugh. Well, you gotta keep some kind of topic going. No, what game do you think we're playing?
Well,
what is this to you?
This is
Duke Nukem.
Just hide behind a rock and it'll replenish. It's Call of Duty.
I'm just doing some frequency analyzing. Don't mind me.
It's like in those science museums.
We're not doing terribly. I mean, I have basically only one hit worth of health left, but here it comes. Oh Lord, he coming. What? I don't know where that first originated.
Lord.
No, you're making me laugh and not pay attention. Ah, knives.
That's not my knife.
This is what Yoda sounded like as a young adult.
Okay.
Yeah. This is awful.
Well,
you never answered the
I
favorite
think
cheese question. It's a valid question.
I don't. My favorite's Gouda. I mean, what?
I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
I think we
either.
both enjoy Havarti.
That's not my favorite cheese.
I don't know that I've experienced enough cheese. I know that I don't like blue cheeses.
Oh, but you're wrong to not.
I am
They
right
hold the
to
secret to your soul.
Yeah, to how to kill it.
Well, that's a good secret to know. There is a secret out there for how to kill your soul. Wouldn't you want to know it?
Not particularly.
Not to do it, you nihilist. To prevent it.
To prevent. Oh, you haven't seen those.
What?
I was gonna quote Men in Black. I was gonna say to prevent.
Ooh, smack him in the ribcage. Beat him like something that needs beating. A naughty child. Okay. Focus has to be on Hammerman.
He just loves the massages you're giving him.
She's going, well, this is
My 5th time to the spa this week.
Get away from me, man. Beat him to a pulp. I'm pulling Rocky on the beef, except the beef is still alive. Get a kazoo. I'm being perhaps a bit too single-minded with this because I have now no health left. And there he is.
That's my order emulation. It's Mickey from Rocky.
Mickey? Oh, Mick? I don't think he's ever called Mickey.
Yes, it's...
Mick was his...
Well, that's what he called him, but I'm just...
Oh, you sauce
You can
bucket.
do it, Rock. Just get up there and start.
Okay. You were channeling a bit of your Gonzo impression with that.
No, I wasn't.
You can do it, Rock. I can't do a Gonzo.
I'm the narrator. I know you're not Charles Dickens. It's a little.
You're not Sylvester Stallone.
Absolutely.
Of course. Well, I'm not. That doesn't hold enough for the
I
rest.
must break you.
Okay, excuse me. You're turning Kermit into Dolph Lundgren? Kermit is at the very least Apollo Creed.
Okay, fair. So that would make.
Especially because you tried to give Kermit a Russian accent. I don't even know how you did that. I will break you. If he dies, he dies. I can't do what you just did. Okay.
What? How about? Was he Sam's
I
too
pity the
American?
fool.
Sam's too American.
Well, he can
for
be
that.
Apollo Creed.
Sam can be Apollo.
Well, he has to be. He gets to wear the funny shorts and everything. I will murder you. No.
Do not throw that towel in, Rock. No, see, that doesn't work.
Turn him into Yoda. But Hootie, you will die today.
Constructive. It's hard to do his voice because it's like.
Sam?
No, yeah, Sam.
Work hard, work long, and be constructive. It's a little. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was still Frank Oz. So it skews Yoda-y if you're not careful, but. Okay. Well, I've learned the secret, which is that if you get... Okay, well, now I'm losing the secret. I was doing better. If you get real close and cuddle up with the beef man, then his frequent attempts to hit you will just knock you'll notice the small pile of corpses surrounding where he used to be.
The closer I am to danger, the further we are from water.
Oh, a little bit. We'll just let him attack the enemies for us because he'll do a decent enough job.
That was a brilliant use of that quote, if I do say so myself.
Well, sure. Okay. You're going to pat yourself on the back
Yes,
there?
I am.
I hope you know that I'm serious, that this video does not end.
I hope you know.
Until this fight is over.
Seriously, he's still sitting there wondering what my favorite cheese is.
Well, because you refused to
I
answer,
don't
so I'm not going
know.
to keep pressing.
You keep asking me these random questions. That would be like if I was like, hey, what's your favorite fencing foil? I know you have no context for that.
Well, that's not true because you have at least eaten cheese in your life.
So
I have never studied fencing.
You've looked at a sword before.
A sword? I could probably tell you what my
Forward.
favorite sword would be, but even then it wouldn't be terribly well informed.
Exactly.
A fencing
I could just
foil
say
is-
cheddar. But
That's not an unreasonable thing to say. If you
Well,
said cheddar, I'd say that's not a bad choice.
yeah, but that's not an informed decision by
Well,
any
it's,
stretch.
have you eaten cheddar? Do you like it? That's informed enough for food.
Sure.
I'm not asking you which is the best. Which cheese is the best of them all? I'm just saying, which cheese in your life have you enjoyed eating the most?
I do.
You do?
It'll definitely be in the white cheese camp.
You racist. He's a horrible racist.
Wow.
Are there any? I'm not gonna go there.
No.
Oh, it makes me wonder. Ooh, and it makes me wonder.
I like Swiss. I like Havarti, but I would have to go with like an American, I suppose.
American cheese?
Like a white American cheese.
Processed to buggery?
Well,
I mean, I'm not gonna say American cheese doesn't have its place, but I mean, I wouldn't just go eating a slice of American straight out of the package.
I don't know. I like it.
I like it. Okay. Our health is low, but maybe we can just learn to live with that. Beat him to a pulp.
What do you like?
It's a bit tough, but I would say it's Cheddar's up there at the very least. I'm up to a 47 combo. Do I get a party hat if I get to 50? No, but I should have. And he's so close to being gone, and the Titan Man just showed up, but he won't die. Just own it. Oh. Well, and it's too late because Titan Man wants to say hello. I don't know. Cheddar's good. I like a very sharp cheddar if I'm going cheddar. I do like blue cheese. I like feta too. I like funky kind of cheeses.
I agree with you.
Cheeses that have a little bit of funk to them. I don't know why. Parmesan's similar.
Parmesan?
I mean, it's not as funky, but it does have a slight funkiness.
I suppose, but I'll level with you, I suppose, on the...
Smack him into beans.
Feta,
well, maybe is feta your favorite, maybe?
I primarily like feta in Greek salads, which is if you've never had a proper Greek salad.
See, that was the first time I had a feta was in a Greek salad, and then I just picked the feta out and ate it because I liked it that much.
Greek salad is great if you get a proper Greek salad because it's cucumbers and tomatoes and
but see, I don't like cucumbers much.
Oh, I like cucumbers quite a bit.
They're just water. Hard water. It's not supposed to be that way.
What?
It's
hard water?
Yeah, it's like celery. It's just like, this water's just angry.
What? I've never heard celery described as angry water.
Well, you have now.
Water can flow, and it can be celery, apparently.
I don't know why the weird accent...
And it can crunch.
The weird accent you put on had me almost like...
Be crunchy,
water can flow, and it can freak you up. I don't know why it was the mobstery Al Pacino voice that kind of was like...
Picturing water just... Nick, turn off the lights.
What? I don't know what you're referencing there.
It's an old movie. It was a mobster movie.
Okay. Oh, boy. I have to get this done. I can't be laughing too hard.
Celery. That's a really... We were on cheese, and now you're on celery?
Well, let's just talk about... Well, it's all food. What do you like in food?
I like food. I like all kinds of food.
I like food all over me. I like all kinds of food.
I was going with the... I like hot dogs. I like hot dogs. Wait a minute. I'm a vegetarian.
Ooh. Ooh. Ow. My face and my stomach.
I don't know what my favorite food is, actually.
Well, that's too hard if you ask me. Favorite food is like, that's entirely dependent on mood.
You're a food mooder.
Yeah, well, you gotta have mood with your food. Some mood food.
I agree. Not everybody thinks that way, though. Like, I'm very much like, when I pull up to a store, I'm like, what am I feeling for today? Where some people are just like, I'll order my regular.
Well, it depends. If you go to a place enough, then I try to vary it up. But if it's a place where it's like, I only come here randomly and occasionally, it's like, I'm just going to get what I know is good because I won't be back here for a while and I don't care. Because then it's like, if I have something that's like, I tried that and I didn't like it, it's like, well, that's the last thing I had for the next, 6 months.
Wow.
Well, it depends. Again, if it's a place you don't go regularly.
There's a place
I found. I've actually for some reason, I like that song. I don't know why. There's just something about it. It's got the whole Roxanne. There's just that kind of...
That's not the way that song has ever been sung.
Yes, have you not seen Moulin Rouge? That's how... You're thinking of the dumb George Michael version, yes.
Which is great.
That's okay, it's all right. But there's something about the inverse Louis Armstrong version.
Inverse Where's Louis Armstrong?
If if the bubble in Louis Armstrong's throat popped one day. That's the skies green. Isn't it feel? I got the fields of green in there. It's an alternate universe, Louis.
Water can flow.
I'm gonna die.
Just picturing Louis as a mobster at this point.
But why is he talking about water? Even if Louis was a mobster, why is he talking about water?
Because water can freak you up.
Ow! Oh, I'm gonna start having cramps.
Well, is this gonna be a longer episode, or are you just gonna?
We got 10 minutes before I feel like we would need to cut it. Because I just realized it's occurred to me as we've been talking that this isn't even the final Joker fight. Although it technically is, because the Joker's actually at least in this fight. We face Joker's final, like... There's a final confrontation, but it's not actually with him. It's with his, like, final ploy. So he brings in an even more muscly thug after the muscly thugs here screw up. Ow, my stomach is just... I'm cramping up. Ouch. That was the weirdest tangent we've ever done. From food to something to
Louis Armstrong.
inverse Louis Armstrong. Army Lou Strong.
You gotta draw that.
Why? Why? And what would the drawing do? Why
I
would
don't
it?
know.
What? You want me to draw Louis Armstrong inside out? That would certainly explain the voice, at least.
Now it's a horror movie.
Well, when the skies are green.
The skies are green and water can mess you up.
Oh.
And I think to myself,
Why I'm done with this world. Oh, man. Have you heard... Oh, I forget what they called it. I think it was something stupid and generic. It was like, what a horrible world or something. It's what a wonderful world in a minor key. And so it ends up sounding like he's really sarcastic about everything. Because it's like, oh, talking about rainbows and trees in the sky, but it's like all depressing sounding. Oh. Or Just Stop Believing. You heard that?
yeah.
There's an interesting market on YouTube for minor versions of major songs.
Most of them are that one guy, though, right?
I don't know. I haven't noticed them being by a particular guy.
Jeff Bezos.
It's probably Jeff Bezos again. He does a lot of stuff on YouTube, apparently. Okay, we're down to the old situation of, well, except for this random Joker. Who's you? Who do you think you are, pal? Get out of here. You're spoiling the moment. Get away from the Titan Man. Now, my favorite version of that is actually, I don't think they called it anything different, but Bohemian Rhapsody in minor is a superior song.
That is fantastic.
Like, no offense to Freddie Mercury, but he should have seen that possibility. Because it's better. There's the funny thing is, there's not as much market for minor songs sung in major, because they don't have as much of an effect. It doesn't... I mean, it changes them, but not as dramatically.
The Imperial March was fantastic.
No, what did they call that? Someone called it like the Imperial Graduation March. Because it's definitely not.
It's very funny.
Oh, boy. Okay. Because, yeah, it doesn't, I don't know. It doesn't have the same effect. Unless, I suppose, you'd have to take it would have to be a specific vibe of a song. You'd have to take something
That was...
I feel like it would have to be a kind of almost like a punk song, something semi I don't know. Punk is the best vibe I can think of for it.
Something from My Chemical Romance.
Yeah, not something like something Green Day would have done.
Yeah.
Not like
take Boulevard of Broken Dreams and turn it major.
Yeah, because then it would just come across as even more depressing and satirical. The Boulevard.
I walk this empty street like it would almost come off as like I don't know.
Turn it into Mr. Sandman. I walk this empty street. You gotta kick up the pace a little bit too. On the Boulevard of Broken Dreams. I am not paying attention. This was supposed to be light topics, and instead my stomach hurts and my face is cramping. Ouch!
Darn it, celery!
Ah, you blew me topic off. I don't know.
This started so well.
Well, depending on your taste, it could be still going pretty well, but...
Well, that's true, I suppose.
Ouch!
This is what you guys signed up for.
I don't think anyone signed up for
heady
this.
existentialism and some real weird quagmire at the end.
Quagmire? What?
Get up, bats.
Get up, bats. Break you like a celery.
I don't think I'm ever going to top that one. Now we really have peaked. We peaked with inverse Louis Armstrong. Oh, strong arm Louis.
Strong arm Louis.
That was his mobster name.
That's what I was thinking. Strong arm Louis.
Well, the problem is I don't know any other Louis Armstrong songs. You could do St. James Infirmary.
He does Pennies from Heaven, doesn't he?
Is that him? Maybe.
Every time it rains, it rains.
I don't know how you
Bullets from my gun.
You could bullets from heaven. I don't know. I feel like you could turn St. James Infirmary into a really dark song. Make it sound like he's the one who killed her. Oh boy. You actually. I went down to St. James Infirmary. Almost sound like a confessional song. Oh boy.
I shoot Louis into the side of the wall. What, were bullets free back then?
I'm sorry. Where are you tying that in somehow?
No, I'm talking about the whole.
Oh, you're talking. I mean,
Suggins,
I got the John Mulaney reference. I just didn't know how Louis got in there somehow.
Because of the mobster thing.
Basically, as long as you weren't there when the cop showed up, you kind of got away with it. Okay, we are doing much better. I need to shift focus to Hammerman. No. I'm forgetting my training. I got a double, triple, quadruple, forever stun. Stay away from me, you jackalopes. I forgot that that's how they trained me to deal with this guy, was just to quadruple stun him, except the big boys now.
You're playing with the big boys now.
The big boys are playing with the big boys now. I'm not even paying attention to my health. This is Wu Wei in action. Okay, Zara.
I already made that reference.
Yeah, but now it's opposite.
Wow.
Or you could do Que Zara.
That makes it sound like he's sneaking up on someone.
Why? Whoever will bleed will bleed. Oh boy. And all this started from the one Mr. Krabs song.
Did it?
Yeah,
Now we got talking about celery and reverse roads.
I don't know about that, but I think subconsciously that's how it led me
Darn
here.
it, Mr. Krabs, you absolute bogan.
Bogan? What?
It's a bogan.
I know what bogan means, but why are you calling Mr. Krabs that?
I'm just being dumb.
Whoop. Okay. Ha. I did bats. I made bats happen. And this is help? Punch him in the groin. Say, punch him in the groin. Turn it into Uptown Funk, except
He dances
something
to it,
else.
too. He's feeling it.
say, punch him in the groin. Say, punch him in the groin.
Only when you hit him in the back.
Well, I'm giving him a nice glute massage. Okay, enough of the bat gymnastics, please. Just
You can do it!
what?
Oh, come on. That's, it's... What's his name?
Get
The
out of
gay
here.
exercise man.
I haven't a clue.
yes.
Excuse me? Why would you assume I know who the gay exercise man is?
He's super famous.
Talking about the Old Spice guy?
No. Wow. Is he gay now?
I haven't a clue, but I don't know where he's been lately.
That makes it sound like he used to keep tabs on it.
Well, I was.
He's been gone for years.
Well, I was his parole officer. It seemed like it was my job. No. Okay. Eat my boots. Stay away from me. Okay. How long can we make this? We're at an hour 30. I really don't
Richard Simmons.
exercise. Oh, okay. I'm thinking. Sure. All right.
Thinking, sure.
Oh boy. Strong arm Louis is sticking with me. Oh, now I wish I knew more Louis Armstrong songs. Oh. Okay. Focused.
You just
Pay
said
attention. I am the knight. I am vengeance. I am the other things Batman used to say he was. No more frantic, just make it happen. Visualize your future. The power within. The power within. The power within. The power within. No!
Power with him.
Eat my gauntlets! That was just me stressing that final. I don't want your hammer near my gauntlets. Punch him in the butt. Say, punch him in the butt. No, get it out of him. Get it out of him! Well, I like that he at least obliged me while I disarmed that man. That was quite kind of him. He didn't have to do that for me. Punch him upside the head. I can't do no more ever since because hammers. Oh, mama. Oh, mama, I'm in fear for my life from this guy with a really big sledgehammer. Punch him up. Boom. Ruin someone else's day. Okay. We have...
Is it time already to ruin Bat's day?
Okay. We're gonna do this. Let's just make it happen. We're gonna make it happen. We gotta calm down. Getting too frantic, too button mashy. Gotta treat it a little more like it's Bob Ross. Just gonna kneecap that fella right there. I think his name's Clyde.
Yeah, that's refreshing.
And we'll break his buddy's shoulder too, because everyone needs a friend at the infirmary.
There's no mistakes in the infirmary. Well, sometimes. That's okay. Some of these fellas don't really deserve to come out.
That's the inverse Bob Ross. Ross Bob.
Ross Bob.
Okay, we're getting somewhere because now we're down to a handful of dudes and the Titan Man, and I'd rather the Titan Man. Titan Man. Do you know the Titan Man who screws up all my days? Oh.
Use the super move to temporary what?
Use the temperature. Who?
Use the super move to temporarily.
That's what they want me to do. I have to do the triple stun with the cape thing, but the problem is too many people are around and they just slice my butt cheeks. They turn my cheeks into the Christmas roasts they already resemble. Okay. I hate these knife guys. These are the worst because the regular guys I can just counter all day long.
Is there not a knife disarm that permanently disarms
Yes,
it?
but the problem is you have to build up a combo for that, and in this kind of a environment, it's hard to build up a steady combo because people just keep screwing you over. No, see, I pushed the wrong button there. That was my fault. I'm getting mashy. I need some calm serenity. Play me some...
Enya.
It's like Enya, but good.
Wait, what is that again? It's Craig Ferguson, I'm sure. But,
It's funny that you could guess that.
but I'm saying,
Because he kept... There
I
was...
remember that bit, but I can't remember what it's
He
from.
kept talking about... Ooh, okay. Oh, I got close there. He's talking about some other, like, Scandinavian... I don't think Enya's Scandinavian, but it was some kind of band that did the kind of music Enya does, where it's like the sort of very folksy,
Electronic.
into the West kind of stuff. And so he was talking to someone about it on the show. He's like, have you heard of these people? It's like Enya, but good. Okay, I have 1 hit point left. I don't think there's much hope, but I've been wrong before, and I was. Okay, how? I don't know. What are we at?
We're at 1:30. Goodbye, Dolly. It's a strong arm, Dolly.
I'm just not picturing. You're picturing Alex Louis Armstrong.
That Albert's catchphrase just, hey, 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 get out of my way.
It's strong, Louis. Oh, okay. Decision time. What do we do?
I think we're going to have to get back to you. We're going to have to regroup.
I'm sorry. You seem to have gotten disconnected from your group. The dark and evil group has already moved on. Oh, man. We're all over the shop. I've got a headache.
Knock him out and regroup.
We need a blunt instrument.
Every kid that year got a sausage nailed to a piece of bark.
Just a knock on the head with a bag full of sand and a dab of whiskey on the lips. I don't remember in the morning.